Silence is often misunderstood. In a world that rewards the loudest voice, the fastest reply, and the strongest reaction, the quiet person is often overlooked. But here's the truth most people never realize. Silence is not weakness. Silence is power. And once you understand the psychology behind saying less, you begin to see how silence quietly builds mental strength, emotional control, and personal authority. In this video, you will discover why people talk too much without realizing it, how silence reshapes behavior, and how mastering silence can instantly change how others see you and how you see yourself. Because sometimes, the strongest move is not what you say. It's what you choose not to say. Most people speak to fill space. They talk to avoid awkwardness. They talk to prove intelligence. They talk to defend themselves. They talk to seek approval. And often, they talk without awareness. This is a common pattern in human behavior. The brain is wired to reduce uncertainty. Silence feels uncertain. Silence feels uncomfortable, so the mind rushes to escape it. Words become a shield. But here's the problem. When emotions rise, excessive talking reduces emotional control. It exposes insecurity. It leaks mental energy. And instead of increasing influence, it weakens it. You've probably seen this before. Someone explains too much, defends too quickly, reacts too emotionally. And in that moment, something shifts. Their presence becomes smaller, not because their words were wrong, but because their behavior revealed internal instability. This is where psychology becomes powerful. Silence interrupts impulsive behavior. When you pause before speaking, the emotional brain slows down. The rational mind catches up. Awareness increases. Silence creates space. And in that space, control begins. Strong individuals are not controlled by the moment. They control their response to the moment. This is one of the clearest signs of mental strength. Silence is not the absence of communication. It is the presence of awareness. When you say less, people listen more. When you react less, people observe more. And when you stay calm, your emotional control becomes visible without a single word. Human psychology naturally assigns authority to emotional stability. The person who remains composed appears stronger than the person who reacts loudly, not because they dominate the conversation, but because they dominate themselves. And self-mastery is the highest form of power. There are 5 psychological shifts that happen when you learn the power of silence. First, silence increases perceived confidence. People who constantly seek validation tend to over-explain. They try to make sure everyone understands them. They try to avoid being misunderstood. But confident individuals behave differently. They trust their words. They trust their presence. They trust that not everything needs explanation. Silence removes the need for approval. And when that need disappears, confidence becomes natural. Second, silence strengthens emotional control. Emotions move fast, faster than logic, faster than awareness. When someone challenges you, interrupts you, or disagrees with you, the emotional brain pushes for immediate reaction. But silence breaks that pattern. A pause of just a few seconds allows emotional intensity to drop. Behavior becomes intentional instead of reactive. This is where real mental strength develops. Not in winning arguments, but in controlling reactions. Third, silence increases psychological influence. People are naturally curious about what is not fully revealed. When you speak less, your words carry weight. When every sentence has intention, people listen carefully. Silence creates presence, and presence creates influence. The loudest voice rarely holds the most authority. The calmest one often does. Fourth, silence protects mental energy. Every conversation requires energy. Every emotional reaction drains focus. When you respond to everything, explain everything, and react to everything, your mind stays in constant noise. Silence filters what truly matters. It allows you to observe before engaging. And observation is one of the most powerful psychological advantages a person can develop, because the person who observes understands behavior. And the person who understands behavior moves smarter. Fifth, silence builds inner clarity. When life becomes noisy, people lose connection with their own thoughts. They absorb opinions, they absorb reactions, they absorb emotional environments. But silence reconnects you with awareness. It allows reflection, and reflection builds direction. Without silence, the mind becomes crowded. With silence, the mind becomes sharp. Now, there is something deeper about silence that most people never talk about. Silence changes identity. At first, staying quiet feels unnatural. You may feel the urge to explain yourself. You may feel the urge to defend your position. You may feel uncomfortable when conversations slow down. This is normal, because your brain is adjusting to a new behavior pattern. But over time, something powerful happens. You begin to notice more. You begin to react less. You begin to choose words instead of releasing them. And slowly, your presence changes. People start listening differently, not because you demanded attention, but because your emotional control earned it. Imagine walking into conversations without the need to prove anything. Imagine disagreements that no longer trigger immediate reaction. Imagine feeling calm instead of pressured to respond. This is the emotional shift silence creates. You stop performing. You start observing. You stop reacting. You start deciding. Silence teaches patience. Silence teaches awareness. Silence teaches strength. And perhaps the most powerful part, silence teaches you that not every moment deserves your energy. There is a quiet confidence that forms when you no longer feel the need to speak for validation. You begin to speak for purpose. You begin to speak for clarity. You begin to speak for impact. This is when words transform. They become sharper, stronger, more intentional, because they are no longer driven by emotion. They are driven by control. Many people believe power comes from dominance, but psychology shows something different. Power comes from restraint. Anyone can react. Few people can pause. Anyone can talk. Few people can choose silence. And that choice changes everything. So the next time you feel the urge to respond immediately, pause. The next time you feel the urge to explain yourself repeatedly, pause. The next time emotions rise, pause. Not because you have nothing to say, but because you are strong enough to decide when to say it. Silence is not empty. Silence is focused. Silence is controlled. Silence is powerful. And when you master silence, you master yourself. If you want more psychology-based insights on behavior, mental strength, and emotional control, subscribe to this channel and continue building the strongest version of your mind.